Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the pits of Motor Chaos. This is your host, Dave. I got along with me special guest, Dragster driver Peter Hedden. How you doing, Pete?
Pretty good.
So, first question, Pete, is how did it all begin for you? How did you get into drag racing?
Well, that's a story. Little kid, my dad in 1966 had about 164-inch front engine dragster that he used to run. It was a C-gas dragster. He actually held the national record with it for about a week and a half. I grew up with him sitting in the cockpit when he was getting towed around. Got to watch him drive these cars for many years. He drove for a couple of guys here in Minneapolis. Traveled all over. He was a crew chief for a while in the Gopher State Timing Association rear engine dragster, which that was the first pass I ever made down the quarter mile was in that. You talk about excitement, man. It was wow. It was something else. Always knew I wanted to drive a front engine nostalgia dragster, but they kind of fell out of favor for a long time. Not many guys had them. Everybody was going to rear engine because of what happened to Big Daddy when he lost part of his foot. So after that, I belong to a car club here in Minneapolis, Gopher State Timing Association. They've always had front engine dragsters. They had a couple of rear engine cars. My dad was crew chief on one for a while, and I always thought someday I'm going to be the crew chief on one of their dragsters. Well, careful what you wish for, because about 10 years ago they handed me the keys to the trailer to their 210-inch front engine nostalgia dragster that was injected on alcohol, and we mixed a little nitromethane in there to give her some pretty little oxygen to the party, as they say. I ran that for 6 years, and I always thought, got to get my own, and that's what I did. I met a guy named Chesley Bushy out of California, and he sold me his hot rod, and that's the one that's in the pictures that you see. It came with a dragster body, but he also gave me a 48 Topolino body to put back on the car that was originally made for it. So, yeah, it happened I was just a kid, and I'm 53 now, so I hate for anybody to do the math on that one.
Yeah. So now with this dragster you're currently driving, what's been the fastest ET you've had?
Fastest ET, at Mia's Controls, a 742, 183. The car wound up by Chess, and the driver that he had, the guy who was a co-owner on the car, Bruce McDowell. The car ran a 702, 202, but I haven't wound it up yet to see if I can do that with the big body on it.
Okay, so now, what tracks do you usually run the dragster on?
Well, we've been hanging out with the guys that running the NDRL, the Nostalgia Drag Race League. Been traveling all over from Minneapolis east. We ran Bowling Green, Kentucky at the Hot Rod Reunion. We were there. Before that, we were in St. Louis. We've been to Norwalk. We've been to Great Lakes with it. Actually, in March, we went to the March meet. I went 3 rounds of the March meet with some of the best nostalgia drag racers in the world. Had a fantastic time. Hadn't been in the car for 6 months, and just put the new body on it with the new paint job, and didn't even know if I was going to be able to drive it. And lo and behold, we did all right. We did really great. In fact, Chess came out, helped us run the car so we could learn a little bit more about it. When I bought it, it was already nationally competitive. I mean, it ran 760s, 750s anywhere in the world, and he came out to make sure that we kind of knew what we were doing. And he opened up a whole lot of avenues for us with what he showed us and how to do things. And it's kind of nice you meet a guy who's got 50 years of experience, and he opens up his playbook and says, "Hey, here it is." It's like getting the keys to the magical kingdom.
Yeah. So how'd you guys do at Bakersfield?
We went 3 rounds. We went to the quarterfinals. Got beat by a guy named Dustin Lee, who is a fantastic drag racer. Last year he was the Hot Rod Reunion champion, so I didn't feel too bad. I should have. I kind of beat myself, but the car just launched so hard. I mean, we'd get 2 to 3 lengths on just about everything. Our 60-foot times were like 105 60-foot time was our best 60-foot. I mean, you step out that hard with a small block Chevy on alcohol, you just, boy, the guy next to you watches you lunge out there. They go, oh, boy, you got to play a lot of catch up. But yeah, I got down to the end of the track and I didn't see him. And I started to lift and I thought, oh, this is dumb. I started to get back into it and he went right by me. So I beat myself, but he's a darn good competitor and he deserved the win.
So are you gonna go back there for the hot rod reunion at Bakersfield?
For the rest of this year, probably not. I'm just a poor working stiff, man. I work my butt off to do what I'm able to do, and this drag racing thing, even though once you get the car and everything, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when you're paying all the hotel, motel, I mean, my crew consists of 3. I've got me, a guy named Jason Miller, who is my crew chief. I got my son Jacob, who is 11 years old, and boy, he's hands-on. You tell him to do something, and the kid takes a lot of initiative, and he's really good at what he does. Jason he's a young crew chief, and he's helping making the car run really good. And we make a lot of decisions, and we're on the phone with Chess Bushy a lot, trying to find out what's going to make the car more repetitive, make it more consistent. Everything, when we work together well, it's a great day. But on occasion, something happens and it kind of fouls things up. And then we have to work harder to get back into the groove of running the car.
So how many crew members do you have total for the Dragster?
Well, consistently 3. And that's, like I said, that's Jason Miller, my crew chief, and my son Jake, who's 11, and he drives the golf cart, moves it around, and he helps work on it, checks the tires, and Jason and I, we make the calls as far as tuning for the day. On occasion, my wife comes out and helps, and my dad owns a shop. Like I said, my dad ran these cars for many years, and he's still in the mix of it. He builds hot rod motors and stuff, a place called Magnum Superchargers in Cedar, Minnesota. These are shameless plugs, aren't they?
Yeah. well, you know, I would have asked you eventually who are your sponsors anyway.
What's that?
I said I would have asked you who your sponsors are anyway coming up.
Boy, I'll tell you, I wish I could name some. Like I said, I'm just a working guy. I pay for everything. Nobody helps me. The people that I do ceramic tile for a living, and I do a lot of side work. And I work a lot. But if you wanna play hard, you got to work hard. So if anybody's listening and they want to sponsor my card, more shameless plugs. There is a guy who he pays for my fuel. He pays for all the fuel for the Dragster. Okay. Other than that, I got nothing. So
now, what are you running on, alcohol?
Right now, I'm running alcohol. I have ran 30% in the Gopher State Timing Association Dragster. That was an injected 440, and that thing, on 30%. Oof, just that sound, you know, it's different than any other engine. When one fires, you know it's on pop.
Right.
You got just the sound of it's different. The feeling of it's different. I mean, the car, when doing a burnout is one thing, but when you got it on a nitromethane, the car just stands up and it rocks towards the starting line, and we can feel the difference. You can run more timing. You can richen it up. You've got plenty of oxygen because nitromethane makes its own oxygen. So the more you run, the more oxygen you make, the more fuel you can give it. So it's a progressive disease. People always said, wouldn't drinking and drugging be cheaper? And I'm thinking, yeah, but it wouldn't be as much fun.
Yeah, maybe you could get some sponsors and maybe you could run on nitromethane.
Well, I'm building a big block. I got all the makings for a blown 572. In fact, I'm just ordering the pistons today for it, and we're gonna run it. We might run 20 to 30% in it coming up. I like. There's just something about nitromethane. I thought maybe I'd try to get in the 7.0 class with the big block. Then I'm thinking they got that new 6.0 deal going on, and I'm pretty sure on a little bit of nitromethane, I bet you I could run 6.0s.
Now you said you went to Great Lakes. You talking about Great Lakes Dragway? No, I said you went to Great Lakes. Are you talking about Great Lakes Dragway in Wisconsin?
Yeah. I've been there with the Gopher car. I guess I haven't been there with the new car, but we're gonna go this year. Just money wise, things are a little tight, so we're trying to run. We'll probably run top end drag strip up in Fargo a couple times this year. Maybe Iowa down Cedar Falls Raceway. And then Rock Falls in Wisconsin. I had the car there once last year. Yeah, once last year. And it's really nice. They treat you really, really good. When a car like that shows up, a lot of, and it's like a bracket racing day or test and tune where there's not many, stout cars out, and you show up with that. I mean, they sweep the track, they glue it, they get it ready for you. It's really nice to have them prep the track as nice as they do for us. So that's always a good time. But we might make it to. I'd like to go to the NDRL has a race, I think, in September, first part of September, at US 131. I'd like to make that one. That one's in Martin, Michigan. But I've made the first two. Went to St. Louis. Went to Bowling Green for the Hot Rod Reunion. Went to the March meet, and now we have to start making the car repeat. I've only owned the car for 2 years now, so it's just to get better, a little more seat time, a little more acclimation for the crew and everything. And then next year we'll hit her hard, make all the NDRL deals. Might even go to the March meet next year. That's a long haul. Took us 2 days to get out there. So it was basically almost 2 weeks of work I missed. If I don't work, I don't get paid type thing. So yeah, I gotta save up for these little excursions.
Yeah, Great Lakes Dragway. Me and my wife live. That's the closest track to us. We're like 35 minutes from Great Lakes Dragway.
Yeah, no, it's a nice track. In fact, it used to run the other way, somebody told me.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Now, what event were you up there for? The September one?
Let's see. It was had to have been 2 years, about 3 years ago. We were there, and it was getting late in the season. I had just figured out the fuel system. It's amazing how many fuel systems there are out there that people run that are just plain wrong. And when I met that Chess Bushy, you can look him up. He's an old A Fuel guy who ran A Fuel in the 80s and just dominated it. I mean, all the blown alcohol guys were singing the blues, so every time Chess went faster, they kept putting weight on him to slow him down, and he'd just make the car even faster. He always said he could never get a decent light, but he'd drive right by him between half track and 3/4. So he showed me some things on fuel systems that it showed me the car that I was running. I was on the lean side of power, and anybody who knows about fuel injection knows what the lean side of power is, and they know what the rich side of power is. And lean side of power, you won't hurt nothing. It's kind of like running the Governor, but the rich side, oof, that's where you can make the horsepower. That's when you start breaking stuff. And we were at Rock Falls, and I had figured out the fuel system, and I had 38 degrees of timing in it, and that car was just, oof, it was just on fire. And I did a burnout, best burnout I've ever done in that car. Backed it up, staged it, launched the car, and went out about 60 feet and just destroyed the transmission. So I got her fixed in about a week, and we went to the racetrack in Wisconsin there, where you live close to, and tried to make it run. It was just a cold, wet, nasty day, and I ran a 802 with the car bouncing all over the place. I could hear it in my helmet. The tires hooking and releasing and hooking and releasing, and it was just unreal. So I knew it was working. I just, couldn't make it down the track very happily with the track conditions the way they were. And then it was just time to give the car back and start running my own thing. So that's what I did. Now I run my own, and I support Gopher State Timing Association and their hot rod and the guys that run it now. It was a great learning experience. It's one of those things where anybody who's in the car club who takes interest in the car can run and drive the car. Nobody in the world that I know of does that. I mean, that's a $100,000 hot rod, and anybody who wants to drive it gets to drive it. Man, that's incredible. I can't thank them enough for the 6 years they gave me as crew chief, and the learning experience that I got out of that. Just unreal. It set me up for this, and I can never thank them enough. And they're like, well, you know, you're a member. You get to do what you get to do. Yeah, but it isn't like, you know, Don Perdome's going to call you up and say, hey, I got a 7-second ride. I want you to shoe it this weekend. It's just not going to happen. Here at Gopher, you know, if you put your time in with the car and you want to run the car, you get to. And that's great. That's wonderful.
So now, Peter, besides your dad being a big inspiration to you to get into drag racing, were there any other drivers out there back in the day that were pretty inspirational to you?
Well, you know, I grew up around Tom Hoover, Bill Shifsky, Vic Anderson. I've met, you know, a ton of racers in my life. In fact, I still have a 9/16 wrench I got from Roland Leong when he was at Bill Shifsky's having the car worked on by my dad. I ran into him at the Hot Rod reunion, said hi. He didn't ask me about the 9/16, but I ain't giving it back either. It says RL on it. He had all of his tools were inscribed RL, and I don't know how I ended up with it. I didn't intentionally steal it, but it ended up in my possession, and I still have it. But just a lot of guys. Mike Dunn, when he ran Bill Shifsky's funny car back in the late 70s, early 80s, or whatever it was. I met him when I was I joined the Marine Corps in 1983. Went in 84 to 90. I met Jim Dunn at the racetrack in Carlsbad for the first time. I said, "Hey, I know your kid. He drives for Bill Shifsky." And then I saw Mike at the March meet this year when we were there. Said hi. He remembered me, which was kind of cool. I hadn't seen him in a long time. And when I said Bill Shifsky, he went, "Oh man!" He says that was a long time ago. But he remembered me from there, and it was kind of nice. And a lot of guys I've met. I mean, there's some great racers here in Minnesota that my dad is friends with, and I'm directly or indirectly friends with, and guys who I think everybody they were just so inspirational. There's no one certain drag racer. I mean, my dad's my hero. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, Don Garlis could be my uncle, but I still think my dad is the greatest guy in the world. I mean, he taught me how to drive one of these cars, and he taught me what to do, what not to do. At the end of the track, when you let off and you start getting wheel hop, exactly what to do. I've seen guys go off the end because the wheel hop got so bad. I've had wheel hop in the one dragster I drove, and the one that I have, first run I ever made, and I ran the 742 183, and I got wheel hop because the parachute didn't open, and anybody who's ever ran Rock Falls knows it's a short shut off, and I hit the brakes a little too fast and started to bounce, and when I made it around the last turn off, and boy, got out of the car, had to shake both legs to get some of the droppings out because it was a hairy freaking ride. But yeah, no, I think my dad is the one person who's always told me what to do and what not to do and how to do it. So I mean, and I listened, and that's the biggest thing. When you meet somebody who's that smart, or like Ches Bushy, who's willing to give you the keys to the kingdom, and all you have to do is listen to him. Too many guys, they get a tune-up and they change it. Too many guys, they don't listen. This guy, my dad's got almost 50 years of drag racing. Oh, he does have 50 years of motorized experience with hot rods and tubbing and tubing cars. And Ches Bushy, who's got 50 years of experience. How do you not take that into account? How do you not learn from that? All you got to do is listen. And these guys, every drag racer I've ever met, they all want to help you. They all want to see you do better. I haven't met more than a couple that are tight-lipped, don't want to help, don't want to do this. But 99% of all drag racers in the world, I mean, they're the greatest people in the world. I just running with the NDRL, I've met so many great people. I mean, it's unbelievable. They're wonderful people everywhere. I mean, it's a tight group. Everybody watches out for everybody. You can't get that anywhere else. No place I know of. It reminds me kind of the Marine Corps. I mean, the esprit de corps of the Marine Corps was fantastic. Just being able to, you got a brother to watch on your back, just like every drag racer. The guys around you in their trailers, they're watching your stuff, so nobody snags it or somebody gets too close or nobody opens up your trailer. And you do the same for them. I mean, not that it happens, but if it ever does, you're always keeping an eye on their stuff. Just something you do.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I hear from most of the nostalgia, drag racers. They all say that with the nostalgia groups, they're all pretty close knit, like family. Everyone helps each other all the time. If one car is broke down and another car needs a part, they'll take a part off their car and give it to the other guy.
Yeah, guys have asked me for blower pulleys. That's when you got a 46 tooth 8mm. I'm like, I do. And I borrowed to him. There was a couple years ago, a guy needed a couple arm restraints, and my arm restraints are built into the SFI 20 suit that I have, but I had a set of impact restraints, and a guy needed them. Well, I forgot all about him. He forgot all about him. I left. He left. Next year, we went to the same racetrack. He was there. We got out of the trailer, brought our car down to tech. When we got back, the restraints were sitting right there on the toolbox. I'm thinking, oh, he returned them, which was really cool. I think if anything like that happens, I think it happens intentionally, where somebody wants to keep stuff. But we had a problem last year at Norwalk, and everybody from NDRL, I mean, they opened their toolboxes to us, all their spare parts, and we were able to make it the first round, which was fantastic. So yeah, if I don't know that I'd pull a head off for somebody, but if it was down to it and they needed one of my heads, I'd definitely consider it. But I mean, it takes a lot of work to get a head off.
Yeah.
So anybody who does that, that's fantastic. It is. I mean, I would do everything I could to help a guy. That's for sure.
Right. So what's your schedule looking like for the rest of the year, Peter?
I think we're just going to kind of stay local. Like I said, in probably the first part of September, we're going to US 131 with the NDRL, but mostly I think we're going to run probably top-end drag strip. Might even make it over to Marion, South Dakota, Thunder Valley at the IHRA track. We were there once last year. The owner loved the car, loved the deal, but some of the racers there, I don't know. I got kind of ran off the track by some gal in a rear-engine dragster. I'm pretty sure she did it on purpose, and I don't know why, because it was the first time we've ever been there. But you could see her looking over and hitting the brake, and here I am, I got a magneto, I shut it off, and I'm trying to get over, and she wouldn't let me over.
Wow.
And then she lit her dragster again and drove around the corner. I had to get out and push my car around the corner. So I didn't get a chance to thank her for that, but I think it was intentional, which I've never had that happen. It just didn't make any sense. But I think I was an outsider at that track because I was told later that's a very clicky track, and I don't want to badmouth the track. Just some of the people are very clicky there, and I guess I didn't click, so she was mean about it.
Yeah. You can't please everybody, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, I ain't kidding about that one. It is what it is. Man. Being a good sportsman is how I was raised. I mean, that's just the way it is. Drag racing is you always be a good sport about it. I mean, I know you're not going to make everybody happy. I mean, I used to do a lot of bracket racing. I had a little Chevy 2 that I got in California. I was in the Marine Corps. I did that for a while and got a job driving a super gas car. Licensed in the Gopher car, rear engine car. Got my super comp license in that, and then I ran super gas for a guy named Bob Hammergren, a little 82 SVO 351. We ran a lot up in at Top End Drag Strip, which is in Fargo on the Minnesota side. It's a nice little track there. Ran that little white car for a while. Did really well. A lot of guys up there, really nice guys. The tech guy up there is fantastic. In fact, he's still there. I ran into him at the Division 5 points meet, where I was asked to leave because I didn't have a self-starting hot rod. I was trying to run top dragster. I didn't realize that the rules had changed where you had to have an onboard starter. And then, so I didn't get to run the car. But, yeah, otherwise, we have a lot of fun with that car. We're going to stay local for a little while here. I think the rest of this year, we might, like I said, we're going to try to make it to Martin, Michigan. Depending on how money goes, we should have the money for it. But next year, I might go to the March meet, because next year is looking really, really good for me. I'll have a lot of income flow, as they say. Got a lot of jobs lined up. So we're probably going to go back to the March meet next year. In fact, if you look on Bang Shift under the March meet, there's a picture, really nice picture of my car going through the lights with the parachute open. That's pretty impressive. That's a lot of free air.
Yeah.
So I like that. Got a lot of pictures of the car. I think the car's more famous than I am. I don't want to be famous. I just want to run that car to the best of my ability and have a lot of fun. Meet a lot of neat people. I mean, I met at the March meet. I got to see Mike Dunn again. I got to see just a bunch of folks, and then who was it? Oh, then Bucky Oscar. I got to meet Bucky Oscar. Chess Bushy walks in right into Bucky's camp. It's like, how you doing, Bucky? It's like, how you doing, Chess? He goes, I'm going to show my boy your fuel system, and he walks me over the fuel system, and kind of like a tutorial, He's like, you see how smooth and easy and clean and blah 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 blah. This is why Bucky's so consistent. Yada yada yada. I mean, and then if he sees a fuel system he doesn't like, he goes, and it's like guys standing there and everything owning the car. He goes, now you see this piece of shit? And I'm like, yeah, but it's the way he is. And guys are like, how's it going, Chess? You never have like my tune-up have. He goes, nope, goddamn well I've never liked your tune-up. So it's interesting to see him, but he gets along with everybody, and it's just the way he is. And he's so matter-of-fact, and he points out everything. He wants you to learn, and I want to learn from him because he's unbelievable. He's become a great friend of mine. I talk to him, once or twice a day sometimes, at least. I talk to him more than I talk to my wife. You'd think she's like, how can you talk to me like that? I'm like, baby, you want to talk about injection? I'm good with it. So, yeah, Chess has taught me a ton, and that man I can't thank enough. And him coming out to Bakersfield to help me run the car, how do you thank a man for that? Just unbelievable. I've learned so much in such a short amount of time, and I keep learning. And it doesn't seem it doesn't get easy. It just gets a little easier every time we run the car. So figuring out mechanical fuel injection and stuff, and having him help me, and all the people who've helped me along the way. The guy who painted the car did an incredible job. Pat Bonnet, Magic Customs. He's been a friend of mine since I was a little kid. Friend of my dad's. We're both in the same car club. My dad's in the Cogs Car Club. It's all part of Gopher State Timing Association. He painted the car. He's an incredible painter. Ever since I was a little kid, I see he painted Warren Johnson's Vega back in the day. He's painted so many race cars and hot rods, and he's friends with Cosmosky of House of Colors. I mean, those two are like two peas in a pod. They're just great friends. And I always thought I wanted a Pat Bonnet paint job when I was a little kid. And once again, careful what you wish for, because everything I've wished for, as far as drag racing goes, is coming true. And I think I've been putting myself in that position and working towards it and loving every minute of it. My dad started me on this. My wife, who's incredible, she backs me on this. She flew into Bowling Green, Kentucky to watch me race. Unfortunately, I red lighted first round, but like they say, if you don't red light once in a while, you ain't doing it right. So I wanted that race pretty bad. I knew the guy had me covered, but so I kind of anticipated the light a little bit, and I got to go home. But otherwise, everything I've done, everybody I've dealt with, just been wonderful to me. Right before we left, I had a problem with Zeus buttons. I couldn't remember where I put the damn Zeus buttons for the nose on that car. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? Called a friend of mine, and he said, yeah, I got plenty of those. Come on over. He practically gave them to me. So, I mean, drag racers, they're just good to me. I'm good to them. Drag racing has always been good for me and so many people along the way.
Now you brought up Bucky Oscar's name. His funny car has been on fire so far this year.
Yeah, I wasn't there to see it, but you know, like Chess tells me and everybody else will tell you, if something like that happened, 99% of it is human error.
No. I don't mean real fire. I mean the car's hot. They're winning all the events this year.
Running. Yeah, he's one of the most consistent funny cars there is, and he's when you look at him, I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever seen Bucky, but he's a hell of a good guy. And when I got to meet him and stuff, he was just sitting there, kind of relaxing on an easy chair, but everything was taken care of, ready to go. Like Chet says, his fuel system is spot on, and so my fuel system, for as far as he's concerned, is spot on. And this is why my car is incredibly consistent. The problem is the driver's not. Like I said, I've only been driving the car I've got 6 years experience in a different front engine car, but this one with the new body on it and everything, it's like the best of both worlds. It's half funny car, half dragster. I mean, there's nothing like the feeling of when that body goes down over the top of you, and you're sitting there in this car, and you're thinking, wow, this is the neatest feeling. And then it fires, and you're thinking, boy, I thought it felt good a second ago. And all of a sudden, it's like you roll through the water and light the tires. Man, it's like no other feeling I've ever had in my life. And it's it's better than I don't want to say sex, but it's pretty goddamn good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I know Bucky just won on 4th of July. They just won with that funny car on the 4th of July.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I've been busy with so much other stuff. I haven't been able to keep track of much of anything, let alone drag racing. Like I said, I think that I'm just a working stiff. What I make on side jobs and working is what I spend on my race car. I got a lot of other stuff to take care of too, but the biggest thing is family, and then the race car. Yeah, so the family always comes first.
Yeah, he's got Bobby Cottrell's driving that funny car for him.
Yep, met him too. What's it I mean? And then one of the people who was helping Bucky out financially, I can't remember his name, but God dang it. Yeah, Chet introduced me to a lot of guys. I met so many people there, all old-time nostalgia drag racers and friends of his. And I mean, you go out to Bakersfield and you start walking through the pits of Chet Bushy, and it's like everybody knows him. So you got to meet a lot of people. You got to names of people I've only heard about. I got to meet some of them. So if they were out there, and Chet ran into them when I was around, and a lot of guys came over to the car and took a look at the car with the new paint job and everything. And it definitely was kind of the belle of the ball. It's one of the nicest Topolinos that I've seen so far, as far as cop coupes.
So now, Peter, what was the experience like for your first time driving a dragster?
What was it, 1983. I was down in Iowa with the Gopher State Timing Association Rear Engine Dragster when my dad looks at me and goes, well, you got your license now, right? Because I wasn't one of those kids that it was an option. If you had the extra money, you could go to like driver's ed and stuff. I didn't have the money to do that, so I had to wait till I was 18, and I went down, took the test and the driver's test all in one swell deal, and I passed. And as soon as I had my hard copy, we were down in Iowa, and my dad looked at me and goes, you got your license now, right? I said, yeah. He goes, well, I guess it's your chance to drive. And I'm like, really? So I didn't have any of my paperwork or anything to get my license, but he said what he wanted me to do was launch the car, bring it up to $7,000, shift it in a second, and just let off and roll through the lights. hour, whatever it was. And man, from that minute on, I was hooked. It's like nothing I'd ever felt before. The acceleration was incredible. Being able to be under control of something like that was great. Then I licensed about 3 weeks later. And so just some local drivers, friends of mine, they all signed my license. And in fact, a guy named Greg Simmons, he said, "What does the license cost?" I said, "It's like $50. He gave me $50. He goes, "Here," he said, "I want to buy your license." And I'm like, wow. So, I mean, I've had an incredible amount of support, even when I drove that car. And even now, I mean, my dad supports me, my as far as, you know, what I'm doing, my wife, my kids, everybody, my family. They want to see me achieve something with this. I want to achieve. I just want to get out and have fun, and I'm building memories for me and my son and my dad when he's able to go out drag racing with us. Yeah, but the first time was, that's what gets you. That's what gets you. I mean, you make it down the quarter of a mile, and you're like, wow, it takes your breath away, and it gives you a tickle. It gives you a tickle in a spot you can't point to, and you can't say where it comes from, but it's there. It's a hell of a tickle. And every time I make it through the lights, I get that tickle, and I kind of like that.
So your son has no desire to do any drag racing?
No, I told my son when he turns 16, if he wants to drive the car, he can. And he's already part of the crew. He's 11 years old, so he's got about 5 years before he's going to get his license. And he wants to. And I'm good with that, because I think if I would have been, but I had my license earlier, as far as my driver's license go, my dad would have definitely put me in the car as soon as he thought I was ready. And I was a member of the car club, so it was easy peasy, and that's a nice training car now. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. I mean, I think I licensed 7 or 8 drivers during the 6 years that I was crew chief in the car. My whole deal was I bought the big thing is the fire suit, because you have to have a minimum of an SFI 15 suit. So I walked into a car club meeting one night, and I said, "Well, I just bought an Impact SFI 20. If you're extra large and smaller, you can use my suit to license." And one of the guys that I mentioned, Pat Bonnet, he's probably 5'5", about 140 pounds or 135 soaking wet, and he looks like a black Stay Puft Marshmallow Man with my big extra large suit on when he drove the car a couple times, and it was just, you wanted to put a booster seat down in there for him to sit in. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a good time in that car, licensing the guys that we did. We had a lot of fun, and I think that's what drag racing is about. You can take it serious, like they say. I can kid around and joke around about drag racing all day long, but as soon as I light the pre-stage and stage light, I'll cut your throat. So, because it's all about who gets off the line first and running the number. My car runs the number. I just have to get off the line a little better.
So now, Peter, what would you consider to be the fondest memory of your drag racing career so far?
Jeez, fondest memory. I mean, there's so many. I guess I was 18 and I ran the North Star Nationals. It was my turn to drive the car at the North Star Nationals, which was at Brainerd, and it was back in 1983. And I remember first round, I went up a guy, Super Copper went up against a guy, and I had no idea. It was a 990 car, not 990, 890 car. We had run Super Comp, and I caught the guy. I beat him. I thought I won the race, but I ran ET out by like 1/1000th. But it was so exhilarating to be in a drag race like that. And actually, I thought I won the first round, which would have been great, but I found out I went too fast because I caught the guy and I should have lifted. I didn't. I just ran it out thinking, because the car was running 890s all day long, and just it figures, the one round of competition, it just went just a skosh too fast. But yeah, I caught him early and just annihilated him, and then I found out I lost. So, but it was a hell of a memory because it's one of the best pictures my dad has of me sitting in the car with a big smile on my face, and my dad saying, "Did you get him? Did you get him?" I'm like, "I got him." He goes, "Yeah, you ran ET out." I'm like, "Oh, well, hey, it was a great race." So I guess matter whether I won or lost. It was just that it was just a wonderful memory. It was a memory I made with my dad, and I don't think he realizes just how important those things are to a young man. And the older I get, the more I cherish them. And it all happened because of drag racing. So now that I get to take my son, that's why it says on my car, right on the cowl of the Fiat body, it says Hedden, and son. It stands for my dad, myself, and my son. So there's three generations of drag racers right there. And if my son has a kid and he gets involved, I don't know if I'll be around for it, but I hope I am. But you never know. I remember the first time my son sat on my lap in the gopher car, and we were at an 8 Mile track, and me and another guy, Dave Smith, we were licensing in the car that day. My kid sat on my lap while they pulled us to tech. And my kid's, he's trying to slap my hands off the butterfly steering wheel. Daddy, I got this, Daddy. Here he is, like, 4 years old, sitting on my lap, trying to drive the dragster. So, yeah, anything with a motor, he's into it. He loves it. Those are some great memories too. Just having my kid with me and my wife and my family. Drag racing's family, and if you don't have a family and you're into drag racing, you got a bigger family than you ever knew.
Yeah, that's a good thing, Peter, because most of these kids these days are stuck on video games and cell phones, and they don't want to work on cars no more.
Oh. Well, I think that would that might surprise you a little bit, because a buddy of mine says like the 50s cars are going down the tubes, nobody wants them anymore, and the hot rods and stuff. But as long as there's somebody that shows an interest in the kid and takes him for a ride in a hot rod. My kid's first ride in a hot rod was I have a 70 RS split bumper Camaro with a blown 350 in it. That was his first ride in a hot rod. And I got a 56 Chevy 2-door wagon, and we both love that thing. That's a hoot to drive. That's got a blown 350 in it. Everything I have either has a turbo or a supercharger. It's kind of like a reoccurring theme with me. But yeah, I think as long as somebody has a ride in one, they always have that interest in that car. I don't think those cars will ever come out of favor. They might be worth less here and there or more, but people who love what they do, cruising or hanging out with hot rods or drag racing, as long as you start them young. It's just like fishing. You start a kid fishing before he's 5 years old, he'll fish the rest of his life in one way or another. And I think the same thing with hot rods. If you show a kid how to work on a hot rod, he'll want to work on it. My kid wants to work on it. He's 11. He's got a video game, but yet when I say it's time to work on the dragster, boom, he's out in the pole barn with me, helping me.
Right. So now, Peter, what's the best way for people to find a schedule where you're going to be at for the events?
I guess just kind of to watch the NDRL. If not, I have a Facebook page with just me, Peter Hedden. I usually try to keep up, like we're going drag racing this weekend down in Iowa, or we're going over to Rock Falls for test and tune or whatever. I can post that. People can just look up my Facebook page, and I think you can, see what's going on. But otherwise, it's just kind of, we're just going to go wherever right now. I don't really have a set schedule, but I do know we have to get the car out. I think next Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, we're going to find a track that's open just to do a little testing and tuning with some different things that we've done with the car. Like I said, in Bowling Green, the barrel valve came unadjusted, and I didn't have a leak down tester to set it. So we kind of beat ourselves in the first round. Anticipated a light besides because I knew it was running way too rich. There's just little things we have to get better at. And then next year we'll probably end up in Bakersfield at Hot Rod Reunion again. And then we'll probably go to most, if not all, of the NDRL races next year. I think they have 6 of them scheduled. It's like Bowling Green and Norwalk and Martin, Michigan. And I think they're going to Beach Bend twice, St. Louis twice, Norwalk once, and Martin, Michigan once. So that's 6. But I would like to find other places to run nostalgia events that I can go to. we're slowly meeting more people and more people, and